Let's brighten up. I can turn the tree on. Are we recording?
Yeah.
What up?
What up?
We back.
We back.
All right, right into it. No need for any banter.
Banter. No witty banter.
This was
today.
episode 6.
Episode 6, Golden Crown.
The Golden Crown.
A Golden Crown.
The Golden Corral.
Yes. The
Okay.
Golden Corral. This
The
whole episode is about them
It's
going
just
to a
about
buffet.
the pizza and steak and a chocolate fountain.
Yeah. Oh.
Barf.
So anyway, after you've given me cold chills.
So that was super good episode.
Yeah. The episode 6?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good. A lot of we saw a lot of like people in action.
Yeah.
You know, you see, well shit, let's just talk about it.
Yeah.
So let's get it.
Well, the season or episode 5 ends with Ned getting stabbed in the leg and Jamie leaving.
He's like, give me my brother back.
Yeah, give me my brother.
I'm outta here.
Yeah. So we opened, episode 6 opens on Ned. He's like recovering from his wound.
Yeah, he's waking up to see Cersei and
Robert
standing over him.
Yeah, Robert doesn't really look very happy, obviously.
Not so much.
Yeah. Cersei, once Ned comes to and realizes that it's the king that's standing in front of him, and she says, do you realize what your wife's done? Cersei says that he didn't have a right to, and Ned says, well, my wife hasn't done anything I didn't instruct her to do.
Trying to save her ass.
Yeah, because, he's always the nobleman.
Yeah.
Cersei said that he didn't have a right to lay a hand on her blood and that he should be held accountable for taking Tyrion captive. Robert says, all of this is ridiculous. Tell Catelyn to release Tyrion. You and Jamie are going to make up and we'll be done. Just get over it.
Easy peasy. Make it happen.
I don't want to do other shit. Like, be done with this. Cersei and Ned are both kind of just trying to make their point, and then finally she says, I should wear the armor and you the gown, and that's when Robert turns and smacks her.
You don't play that shit.
So she stands there for a second and she goes, I'll wear this the like mark he left is a badge
of honor.
Is a badge of honor, yeah. And he says you'll wear it in silence or I'll honor you again.
Ooh, he got cold on her ass.
Yeah, so that's when she leaves. Robert immediately takes a swig of wine and he says he shouldn't have hit her. It wasn't kingly like.
Yeah, hindsight.
Yeah. Ned says if they don't act on like the fact that Jamie killed his men, and if they don't, instead of just like wiping it away and being done with this and like the whole Tyrion with Bran thing, he was like, if we don't act on this, there's going to be a war. And Robert's like, no, if you return Tyrion and you and Jamie make up and leave each other alone, why would there be a war? Nobody cares at this point. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was like, basically, I can't rule the Seven Kingdoms if I have the Starks and the Lannisters at each other's throats.
Yeah, two big-ass families.
Yeah, the most powerful at this point.
Yeah.
So Ned says, fine, I'll go to Winterfell and, and take care of Catelyn. And Robert says, nope, you can send a raven. You got to stay.
Yeah, you got to stay.
You got to stay. He said, I never loved my brothers. You were the brother I chose. He said, we'll talk more when I return from my hunt. And he tossed the badge of the hand back at him.
And you can tell he just has this God damn it look on his face. Like,
yeah.
Oh, I super don't want that back.
Yeah. And Ned, of course, between not wanting that back and being told he has to stay in Winterfell, he tries one more time to piss the king off before he leaves. And he goes, what about the Targaryen? And Robert's like, I swear to God, I will kill you myself.
Yeah. Don't. Yeah. He says, if you, oh no, shit.
Well,
never mind. That's something different.
Well, he says it doesn't matter. She's to die.
She's
Stop
dying.
talking about it.
Don't
Don't bring it up again. And he says, he points back to the badge and he says, if you ever take it off again, I swear I'll pin it on Jamie Lannister, which would be the worst thing for the realm.
There it is.
Yeah. Well, at least in Ned's eyes.
Yeah.
Well, and right now, definitely. Absolutely.
For sure.
Once he loses his hand, maybe he's a little better. But anyway. So we cut to Dany. She's holding the black dragon egg. She's looking over at the coals that's like in that little fire thing near her. And she decides to take the egg and put it in the fireplace or the fire coal thing. And she just sits there. It's just sitting there for a minute. And the servant girl walks in, the hot hoary one. She walks in.
Was it her?
Oh no, it is
Wasn't
the other
her.
girl. It
Different
is. It's the one that grabbed her boob.
Was it that one?
Yeah, it was
Okay.
that one. So she walks in, and then finally she asks Danny what she's doing, and Danny grabs the egg from the fire, and of course the servant girl's like, no,
No,
Khaleesi.
don't do that. Even though she's
So
chilling.
so she grabs the egg from Danny.
And then throws it down
And
again.
then throws it down.
It's hot as fuck.
Yeah, and so you see Danny's hands, and there's no marks or anything. The servant girl's like, are you hurt? And then Danny turns the servant girl's hands over, and she goes, well, you're injured
You're
because
all
there's
fucked
burn
up.
marks on it in the shape of the egg,
Yeah.
in the texture of the
Clearly
egg.
it was scalding.
Yes, but Danny is
The
completely
dragon.
fine.
She's dragon.
She is dragon blow. So then we cut to Bran. He's dreaming again, obviously, because he's walking. He follows the three-eye raven. The raven kind of is leading him down to the beginning of the crypts.
Yeah.
And then that's when Bran's woken up by Hodor coming into the room. He's got the saddle that's finally made from Tyrion's design.
Yeah.
We cut to Bran making
doing
us all
donuts on the horse.
seasick. Yeah, yeah, or motion sick, not seasick. Yeah, he's like doing donuts on the horse. Theon and Robb are watching him. They're talking about what's happened in the capital.
Also, how long has he been fucked up now? Months?
I would say at this point, probably several months, 2 or 3 months.
So like that
if not more.
had to have been just the best being able to haul ass.
Yeah. So Theon's basically telling Robb that it's his duty to do something, and he was like, "You need to tell Bran about everything that's going on. You need to do this. You need to do that." And
You need to do all this, and like the kids have been happy for about 5 minutes
Mm-hmm.
in the first time in months. So yeah, let's bum them out.
let's
real quick.
ruin that. Yeah. So finally, Robb goes, "Look, it's not your duty because it's not your house, and you need to stop talking about it."
Burns them a little bit.
Yeah, and so that's when Bran is suddenly like gone, and Theon, being the dick he is, Robb's like, "Where did Bran go?" And he's like, "I don't know. It's not my house.
Not my house, not my brother, not my problem.
Yeah.
Not my chair, not my problem.
Not my chair, not my problem." Whose chair is
Whose
that?
goddamn chair is that?
Seahorse, sea captain. So Bran so we cut to him. He's kind of like in the woods now, near where they were. And you see 3, what we come to know as wildlings behind him. Finally, the one walks up who we come to know, I think, Asha? Yeah,
I
Asha.
can't remember.
Asha, yeah. She says, "You're all." She says, "Look at the little lordling, all alone in the deep dark woods."
Lordling.
Lordling.
It's a funny word.
Yeah, it is. Bran says he's not alone. His brother's with him. They tell Bran to get down from the horse and be quick about it. He says, "Nah, I'm crippled. Sorry, bro."
Yeah. Get down. Come on, quick with it.
Yeah.
Today, Junior.
Yeah, they cut him today, Junior. They cut him to like make sure that he's not lying about being a cripple.
I don't think he did that to make sure of anything. I think he just didn't give a fuck. He wanted to cut the strap, and he wasn't showing any signs of caution. It was just like, cutting this. Oh, your leg's in the way, but clearly that doesn't matter.
And
Don't you
that's
stick
when
that knife in your leg.
that's when Bran stab somebody.
Stab somebody. There's some milk on that. You better get some milk on that quick. All right, so what happened next?
That's when Bran says he's a Stark, and that's when the one wildling's like, "Oh, he's worth like we could get money out of this."
Oh, because
like,
they
don't kill
know
him.
they know of Benjen. Benjen's probably
Yeah.
fucked some of their friends.
Oh,
up.
absolutely, yeah. So the one wildling's like, "Nah, piss on Mance Rayder, piss on the North. We're trying to go as south can get."
Yeah, because they know that there's White Walk. They've probably seen some shit.
What he says, he's like, white. There's no White Walkers down there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they've either heard about it or seen like a
I'm
death
assuming they've
circle.
seen them. Yeah. At
Yeah.
this point, I mean, she even goes on, I think, later to say that they've seen them. So, Bran is. So that's when Robb intervenes. He walks up and he says, "Let him go. Let Bran go, and I'll let you live." And the one guy attacks Robb, and Robb kills him right away.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anonymous henchman number 1
Yeah.
gets fucked up.
Yeah. Bran. But while that's happening, Bran's pulled from the horse by the older of the wildling. The last man alive now. There's only a man and a woman at this point.
Knife to the throat.
Yeah, and so he pulls Bran from the horse, holds a knife against his throat, and Robb at that point has the woman wildling, Osha, and the man wildling tells Robb he needs to drop his blade. Robb clearly sees something that we don't see until later. He finally drops the blade, and that's when the guy gets an arrow through his neck.
No, it's like the chest.
Oh, through the chest.
I would assume he was going for his heart, but
yeah.
Either way, it killed him.
So Theon saved the day, unfortunately.
Theon's nice with the
he's good with the arrow.
The skills, though.
Oh yeah, I mean, like that's the thing in the book. It's a very repetitious thing is that he's very good with a bow.
It would be nice to see him like actually get a little bit of that ass whipping skill back in the very last season, even though he doesn't have a dick.
My assumption is that's what we're gonna see. Is that this whole
Hold on, did he lose his dick and balls, or just dick? Or is it assumed?
Well, it's. I think by show standards, he lost both. In the book, I'm pretty sure he just loses the balls. I'd have to, or it's implied that he still has his dick. I don't quite remember the book because it's been so long.
I think they actually say something later on in the show where we were like, I guess he has a dick still. You know what? Not important right now. Let's just stop talking about his dick.
Yeah.
Let's just stop that right now.
Yeah, we'll stop talking about Theon's dick.
What happened next?
Unfortunately, gets played with later, and not by Rosalind. He starts talking. Theon starts talking about how on the Iron Islands you're not a man until you've killed someone. Like he even knows anything.
Yeah.
He's taken away as a child.
Yeah, you left before you did shit.
Yeah, so he's got the wildling woman, and he's basically got an arrow to her head ready to end her, and Robb says, no, we're going to take her alive.
Well, she's like, oh, I'll be your servant if you let me live, obviously.
Yeah, but obviously I don't think Robb, like his father, isn't out to kill people
He's just out to do the right thing.
Yeah, and she didn't necessarily, she did attack Bran, but she didn't necessarily try to kill any of them.
Yeah.
So, obviously he's going to do what Ned would do, and that's what Ned would do.
For sure.
So we cut to Tyrion. He's sleeping. He almost rolls off the side of the...
yeah, he's a rolly sleeper, which is not
how most
thing.
people sleep, which is weird, but yeah. So he wakes up, clearly in
about
a panic.
To die, yeah.
Yeah, I would assume your nuts would be in your throat when you
whoa,
look over the edge.
All right, fuck this. And then he's pounding on the door, and he's going to try to bribe the dude.
Yeah, so he starts yelling for Mord, who comes in and starts whipping him for making noises.
Little man making noise.
He said dwarf keeps making noise. Tyrion tells him he has a lot of gold, and he can make Mort a rich man. Mort says, nope. I don't see any gold. You don't have any on you.
He frisks him.
Yeah, and so
for gold. I don't see any gold.
Yeah, as he leaves, he tells Tyrion to fuck off. So we cut to Arya. She's supposed to have dancing lessons, but she says she doesn't want to practice today. She said that Jorah was killed and her father was hurt, or Jory was killed and her father was hurt, and so she's just not really in a good mood. Her dancing teacher says that when you're troubled, it's the best time to practice. And
you're never going to be in a fight when it's like super, when there's a bunch of super good energy in the air. Yeah. It's going to be real negative when you're actually fighting. So now's the time to train.
Yeah. He says, how can you be, he said, how can you be quick as a snake or quiet as a shadow when you are somewhere else? So basically he's saying like, you need to have your head in it all the time, because there's no way that you're going to win if you don't have your head in the game. Yeah. Yeah. Every coach ever has said that. He asks if Arya fears for her father and if she prays to the gods. She says yes to the old and the new. He says, well, there's only one God. That's death. Yeah. And there's only one thing we say to death, which is not today.
Not today,
not
homie.
Today. Not today.
No can do.
Go for that. So we cut to Dany being a badass and eating a horse heart.
Yeah, like some man versus food shit. She has to eat the whole thing.
And she's like standing in front of everyone, and she's like staring directly at Khal Drogo.
And he has a dick as hard as a diamond right now, watching her do this.
Oh yeah, very much so. He very has to be hard. Viserys says that that there's no way that Dany will keep the whole heart down, and he hopes to God it wasn't his horse. Yeah. He also says that he asks what the woman is saying, because they're chanting and talking in Dothraki.
She must have really found her rhythm eating that thing, because like she had a
couple
bites out of it, and she's like, we're seeing as soon as the scene starts, and then they kind of pan around the room a little bit, and they show them talking, and That fucking thing's down.
Yeah.
She crushed it.
Yeah, I mean, I would just be like
And then
swallowing his whole bits.
And then she almost throws up, but she holds it.
Hold on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's
not there yet.
A little further down. Where were we?
Can't be far from that.
Viserys asks what they're saying, and Jorah says that he's talking about the prince that rides. He's like, oh, Dany's gonna have a boy.
Yeah.
That's what he's saying. Viserys says, well, he won't be a real Targaryen, not a true dragon. That's when we see Dany. She's eating the last bit, but then she like basically throws up.
Starts to have
she basically, I guess she regurgitates in her mouth, but then she decides to just eat that.
Yeah, she's facing down, just like, just eat it. Just fucking eat it.
Just eat it.
Just eat
it's
it,
already gross, so it's not like eating your own throw up could be even worse.
For sure.
Yeah. And Khal Drogo is just, again, hard as a rock, being like, that is my girl.
That's so fucking hot,
yeah.
bro.
And so she finishes and, everyone's cheering, and that's when they start, the woman starts saying stuff again, and she says that the baby is the stallion who will mount the world.
And that it's going to be a soccer player.
Yeah.
It is.
He's going to be the call of calls, and all of the people in the world will be his herd. And Dany says that the baby's name will be Rhaego? Rhaego?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Rhaego, I think.
Rhaego? Yeah.
Which sounds like spaghetti sauce.
Yeah, Prego. Yeah. Viserys realizes that all of the people love Dany.
Yeah, and he's like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
They all seem to like her.
Yeah, and that's when he walks off. It cuts back to Khal, who's still staring directly at Dany with a rock hard.
And just scoops her and like starts walking her around the room. That's that part, right?
Yeah. And then we see Jorah, and it's clear that he also has a love for her as well.
Yeah, but then he's like, where the fuck?
Well, she says he goes and says she's truly a queen today, and turns to look at Viserys, but he's gone.
Yeah. Where did this buster go?
Yeah. So that's when Jorah's like, Meh. And Viserys, we see him enter Dany's room and open the box with the dragon eggs in it, and he starts packing them into a bag. And Jorah enters behind him. Viserys has a sword on his back, or on his belt, and Jorah says, don't let them see you carrying a sword in Vas Dothrak. And
he's like, it's not my rule, bitch.
Yeah, he said, Viserys is like, well, it's not my rule, it's their rule, so I can do whatever I want. He says whatever is Dany's is also his, and that he's going to sell the eggs to get a ship and an army, that he's the last chance of a dynasty that everyone wants, which is obviously not the truth. And that no one has ever given him what Dany got in that tent.
Well,
and
you didn't eat the heart, bro. Try eating the heart.
Yeah, seriously.
You didn't even try the challenge.
Yeah, Joe Rogan.
That's what they were all hyped on.
Yeah, I mean,
she ate the fucking heart.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
what they all came to see.
Yeah. So he said that who can rule without wealth or fear or love? And then he tries to dig in the sword a little deeper with Jorah and says, I know how I've seen you stare at Dany, and I know what you want. And he's like, you can have her.
And then he reassures us, like he did in the earlier episode, that he gives less than a fuck about his sister, and like, have at her.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care, but just let me get out of here.
Yeah. He says, yeah, I don't care. Let me go. Jorah says, you can go, but you can't take the eggs. And Viserys says, I thought you were loyal to me. And Jorah says, yes, loyalty does mean everything to me. And that's when you realize his loyalties, obviously. I mean, his loyalties to Dany over Viserys, but I think we're starting to see
it's like
specifically he has her. A change to Dany now.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because again, he's spying for Robert still at this point.
But that shit's gonna get cut quick.
Yeah, and I think this is the night it turns.
And also he's like, he knows Robert, and he's like, Robert's a fat turd.
Yeah.
It's like this, like he's getting to know her. He realizes that she's like a sweetie,
mm-hmm.
and that she's like strong and she's kind to people. So it's like, I'm on the right team now.
Yeah, exactly.
And I realize
he wanted to go home, and it makes sense. That was his way out. That was his ticket home, was to spy on her. And if she was anything like Viserys, then like, who gives a fuck?
Exactly. He'd be happy to be doing the spying if she was like a little brat.
Yeah, but she's not. I mean, Dany's clearly a different.
Yeah, and he's like romantically interested
in her. Yeah.
So he's all consumed by her in every
aspect.
Way you look at
yeah, exactly. So that's when Viserys drops the eggs and he storms out again. So we cut back to Tyrion. He's yelling for Mord again. Mord finally comes in. Tyrion starts talking about the gold again. Starts getting beat again. He says,
I can owe you, dropping all these big words, and he's just looking at him. He's like, Tyrion keeps talking, and then you can see him being conflicted with himself, like, fuck, like, you gotta use, like, really small words.
Really
like,
small. So he says,
I give you gold. It's like he's got to talk like Kevin to him.
Yeah.
Or he's like, why don't you explain this to me like I'm 5?
Or like when Ross is trying to tell Joey about what a thesaurus is. I think Chandler is, not Ross. But anyway, yeah, so Mort says, he says, I'll give you gold if you help me get free. Mort says, if you want to be free by jumping.
Yeah, there you go.
And then, so Tyrion tries one last chance of communicating with this guy, and he goes, do you know what rich as a Lannister means?
He's like, wait,
I know
that
what that
sounds
means.
familiar.
Yeah, so Tyrion's like, I am a Lannister.
Yeah, I'm putting this all on the table for you very easily.
Yeah. And so then he's like, have you also heard the saying, Lannister always pays their debts? Or his debts? Wink, wink. And that's when Mord's like, what do I need to do? And so Tyrion's like, I just need you to pass a message to Lady Arryn, and then I'll give you gold once I've proven my innocence. And Mord's like, okay, what's the message? And Tyrion says, I wish to confess my crimes.
Boom. So
Tyrion's taken in front of Lady Arryn and Catelyn and everyone else in the Vale, or the Eyrie. And as the scene starts, Lady Arryn says the sky cells always break them, because she's a bitch.
Oh yeah, she's thinking that he's like, oh, we got this motherfucker now.
Yeah, exactly. So Tyrion starts confessing. He says he's a vile man. He has crimes and sins beyond counting. He says he's lied, cheated, gambled, and whored. He said he's not good at violence, but he's good at convincing others to do violence for him.
Basically, he's saying that he's been spending his father's money his whole life to have a blast of a life.
Absolutely. He said at 7 he stole a servant girl's robe and then had to watch her tits bounce naked as she ran back to the castle. At the age of 10, he put goat shit in his uncle's boots.
And then blamed it on a squire.
Yeah, and let him take the beating for it. At 12, he starts talking very vividly about masturbating into soup.
Yeah.
That he's pretty sure that his sister, which would be Cersei, ate.
At least that was the hope.
Yeah, so that's when they're like, enough. You know what you've been charged with. Jon Arryn's death and attempting to kill Bran. And Tyrion says, I'm sorry, but I'm innocent of those crimes.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what you're talking about with that. I jerked off in more things if you want to hear about that, but I haven't killed anyone.
He also goes to tell the joke, and it was too quick for me to write down the joke, and I always forget what it is, but he says it again later, and he never gets to finish the joke, and I really hope by the end of the series we get the end of this joke.
I don't know what you're talking about.
He says he takes something and something into a
Oh, I do know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I can't ever remember what it is.
Shit,
it's too quick.
I can't either.
I will look it up.
I think it was 2 animals.
Yeah, it's 2. I think it's 2 or it's an animal and like
and something else.
like a fruit.
It
or
said
something.
like a honeycomb.
Yeah, a honeycomb. That's what it is. Yeah.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah, it's whatever it is. He mentions it again much later, and
right, yeah.
I really want to hear the end of it. But anyway, so he goes to tell that joke right after the masturbation thing,
like,
but then they're like, yeah. So he says, I didn't kill them, and if this is the way that justice is done in the Vale, then like you guys clearly are in the wrong here. I've denied the charges.
And then you're like,
and you still push it.
We don't like that. And
yeah.
There's no trial, so you're still guilty. Get back in the cell, or get in a smaller cell.
Yeah. And so he's like, I want a trial. I demand it. That's the justice in the 7 Kingdoms. And Lady Arryn says, well, we have no executioner in the Eyrie. We're more eloquent here. And she opens the sky door.
The moon door.
Or the moon door. The moon door.
The moon door.
The moon door. So Lady Arryn says that Robin will listen to what Tyrion has to say, and then he'll leave by one door or the other. And Tyrion's like, yeah, I'm not leaving it up in that man's hands. Excuse me, that boy's hands.
Yeah.
I demand a trial by combat.
The psychopath. And when they open the moon door to show him, he starts losing his shit.
Yeah. I want to make the bad man guy.
What a little psycho.
Yeah. So he says he demands a trial by combat. People laugh at this because
they think he wants to fight someone.
Yeah, and she says, well, Lady Aaron's like, well, that's your right.
Well, right away, and then all these like people, all these noble men are like, I'll do it. No, I'll do it. And then the one cute, sexy, hip knight is over here not saying shit, just looking adorable, and she calls him out.
Don't you want to fight for my honor?
It's like, well, and he said, I just don't want to cut this dude's head off because he's 3 feet tall.
Yeah, and so he was like, well, I don't want that to happen either.
I would also like for that to not happen.
And she's like, well, you can't. You demanded the combat, and he was like, well, yeah, and I demand the right to a champion. You got one, so I need to get one. Otherwise, you fight me, bitch.
She says, all right.
Because Ned would. If somebody said they wanted a trial by combat in the North, which I don't know if that would even be allowed in the North, but
maybe
Ned would fight.
Yeah, for that person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because he would be the one that swung the sword, so he would be the one to fight. Absolutely.
She right.
It'd be dumb, but whatever. So Tyrion says, I want a champion. He says, I named Jaime Lannister. Send a raven, and I'll be happy to wait. And Lady Aaron says, nope, trial's happening today.
Making up their own rules again.
Yep.
Just like, nope, not doing that.
For some reason, we still do that in courts nowadays.
So he's like,
for more of that, go to Murdoch.
Like, okay, I guess any volunteers?
Yeah.
And it's fucking crickets in there.
And then Bronn finally says that he'll stand for the dwarf.
My fucking dude.
Yeah.
Finally.
Yep.
Getting to see some action. I mean, we've seen a little bit, but
not any Bronn action.
Yeah, not good
Bronn
action. Just straight up Bronn action.
Mm-mm. So we go to Robert Renly, Selma Barrister, and Lancel are walking through the forest talking about war.
While they're hunting.
Yeah, they're not just walking through the forest. I guess they're hunting, I should say. They're talking about kind of wars and also fucking, because of course it's Robert, so the two things he talks about.
Those are his hobbies.
Robert asks Renly if he's ever fucked a Riverlands girl. Renly says he thinks, and Robert's like, if you fucked a Riverlands girl, you would know. So clearly you have not.
He's drunk and just talking shit. You can tell he's getting pretty loose.
Yeah. He said that they used to have this thing that it was basically you weren't a real man until you fucked a girl from each of the 7 kingdoms and one from the Riverlands. He said it's called Making the 8.
Making the 8.
The whole time Lancel's feeding Robert wine. And he's clearly getting drunker and drunker.
Yeah, almost as if someone told him to do that.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. And so Renly is starting to get annoyed with all of the obvious drunken, like, ridiculousness. Because Robert keeps talking about how, those were the days. And so Renly's finally like,
what, when everybody was dying?
Yeah, like when the realm was fighting each other, or maybe before that when dragons were, terrifying the lands and stuff. Yeah. And so so he finally storms off, and it cuts to Barrister. He's clearly like, as Lancel is giving Robert more wine, he's picking up more.
He's like, more wine, and why he would never want to. Normally, he would never want to interact with Robert unless he absolutely had to. So why would you be like keep coming front and center and like? I mean, it's fine. He hasn't like lost it on him yet. But what if he's like, no, I don't want any wine. I'll tell you if I want more fucking wine or something.
Well, I mean, that would be a way that. So, I mean, from everything we've seen so far, that's how he is. Lancel is just like, I'm going to stand back here until you.
So why do you keep putting yourself in front of him and putting yourself out there if you're not, somebody kind of pushed you in that direction.
Yeah, exactly. So we cut to the throne room. Ned is sitting very uncomfortably in the Iron Throne.
Yeah. Leg wrapped up. Has a cane.
Yeah.
Like a pimp.
Ned
Stark rolling like a pimp.
And Littlefinger is sitting beside him. Pycelle's on the other side. They're talking about the Riverlands. A man said that someone came through and burned most everything, took the women in multiple different ways, and then killed them.
Chop the head off a horse or horses?
Well,
or I guess that
that's a little further down. But yeah. He says that he cut. So anyway, he says that. They're saying Ned says, well, they're thieves. So what do you want us to do about it? And the man goes, well, they weren't thieves. They didn't steal anything. They even left something behind. And they left fish behind. And so he pours out a bunch of fish. And Littlefinger is playing a game with Ned here.
Oh yeah, it's so uncomfortable.
Yeah, and so he like leans over to him and he goes, "Fish, isn't that the sigil of your wife's house?
And why wouldn't Ned?
House Tully?"
Ned should have zinged and burned him with one and turned to him and been like, "What? Shouldn't you know? You were fucking obsessed with. You've been obsessed with your entire life."
Yeah, exactly.
But no, he's not that. He doesn't have that kind of mind.
No, Ned's not gonna burn him.
Yeah, he's not burning anybody.
No. Ned's not witty enough to burn him. Sorry, guys.
Definitely not. He's just.
It's a little frostbite in the brain there. The man who's speaking to Ned says the man that was leading the people that did all this. He said he was taller than any man he's ever seen. He said that he cut a horse's head off with a single swing of the sword, and that's when Littlefinger leans back over and goes, "Ooh, doesn't that sound familiar?"
Oh, we know someone. That sounds like someone we know.
Yeah. And then he goes, "That sounds like Tyrion Lannister's Mad Dog the Mountain." And so Littlefinger again goes, "Can you think of any reason why the Lannisters would be mad at House Tully or your wife?"
And like you can tell Ned just wants to like choke him the fuck out.
Yeah.
But he's just sitting there like just taking everything in.
Yeah.
Because obviously everyone's staring at him. 'Cause
Yeah,
he's
exactly.
on the throne.
Exactly. So then he says, so Ned stands up and he says, "Well, I can't give your homes or, any of that
Your
back.
loved ones back.
Yeah, but I can give you justice." He calls on Lord Beric Dondarrion to ride north to find Sir Gregor. Ned charges Lord Dondarrion with bringing the king's justice to the mountain and all who ride with him.
Take 100 guys, so at least 8 of you will come back.
Yeah. And Ned then strips Sir Gregor of everything and sentences all the men to death. Pycelle
why do you think he does that? Do you think he's just sitting there thinking and he just has a fuck it moment?
Yeah.
I mean,
I think he's done.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I'm pretty sure I'm probably going to get murdered because I can't leave now because he threw this stupid badge back at me.
Well, Ned is always trying to do the most honorable thing. And if these men are burning up Riverlands for no reason and raping women for no reason, then they should be sentenced.
And he's the one sitting on the throne right now, so...
But I think his quick justice, because Ned normally would be like, well, let's hear their, let's not hear their side, but let's find out. He's done.
Exactly. He's done with that because he knows what's going on here. It's like, oh, really? Giant guy? Yeah. Horse head off, one swing? Yeah. I wonder who that is. It's
and
like,
I wonder why they're doing it.
Go fucking get them. They're dead. Exactly. That's it.
So then he orders Pycelle to send a raven to Lord Lannister, who's at Casterly Rock, and he says, you need to come and answer for your crimes. He says that Lord Lannister should be there within a fortnight, and that he'll be charged with being an enemy of the crown if not. And then as the scene ends, we see Littlefinger say again, "That's a bold move. Do you think it's wise to yank a lion's tail?" Yeah. And Ned says, "Look, they should pay for what they did."
Exactly. Doesn't matter who you are. We're not playing I'm not playing the game right now. I'm being Ned sitting on the throne.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
None of your little slick sayings or you whispering in my ear or this or that or talking around the subject in some clever way. I don't give a shit about any of that. These motherfuckers are going to die.
Yeah, exactly. None of it's ever going to work. So we cut to the sky door, or the moon door. It's open. I don't know why I keep want to call it sky door, but yeah, moon door. We should just have a sound clip. Moon door.
That's Sansa saying it, by the way. Yeah. I don't remember what season, but she's like.
It's when Littlefinger throws Liza out the.
Oh yeah.
Because that's her giving her statement. She's like, "Hey, she's door at the moon door." She gets very British. So again, back at the Eyrie, moon door is open. Bronn and Lady Aaron's champion are suited up, and the fight begins.
He's suited up, and they give Bronn a shield. And he's like, no. And then it's also funny because if I was the knight, I'd be looking at him like, all right, you ready to, you not putting anything on? No, I'm good. Oh, no, you're ready right now? You don't want to, no, not even a helmet? Nothing, really? Oh shit.
Yeah.
This dude's probably done this a couple times.
Yeah, because the champion, he's like armored up.
He is fucking ready to fight a bull.
Yeah, it's like he is like the true traditional like knight.
And they're indoors, so it's like
in a
closed
enclosed space.
That's what I mean. Nice giant.
And there's a lot of people there.
Yeah, you got people everywhere. You have a big ass shield.
Mm-hmm.
You have like a football helmet on, so you have no peripheral vision. It's
stupid.
And then also Braun's acting like he's like, I guess he's just giving this dude a little self-confidence because
he's playing.
He's playing with him, and he like gets
him.
by the like right where he's like.
Well, he's playing all of them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's playing. He's like, oh, this is gonna be great. He's totally gonna die soon, and then he like takes him around like the room a little bit and through some people and just like frustrates him.
He also, because even Lady Aaron's at some point, she says stand and fight. She calls him a coward because he's moving around.
Fight him because he's like jumping over shit to get away from him and throwing stuff in his way. And it's like,
but the whole time you can see, like every time the knight is like swinging or something, it's like it's clear that he's very clumsy.
Yeah, he's slow as shit because he's wearing 50 fucking pounds of
armor
or more of shit.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So he like takes him through the like hallway going around the room where it's real tight and it's like really super easy for him to defend shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So then he finally, Braun finally catches him in the chest.
Yeah, and he's like they're coming out of the hallway and coming back towards the moon door, and then he's just like poke. Hits him with a little poke, and everybody's like, oh!
And Tyrion goes, yes!
Yes! And then he starts to put the little clinic on. He's like, okay, I'm gonna start showing you the skills.
Well, and Lady Aaron is like, at that same time when Tyrion is like, yes, Lady Aaron's like, enough, finish him. And Braun's like, hold on, I got one more thing to show you.
Yeah, let me just show you a little slick and a little poke, and a little cut, and then you like a little trip.
Yeah, and every time he gets those, Tyrion just gets more and more ecstatic. Yeah. He keeps watching it like he's staring at a steak.
Yeah, it's great.
Or like and so Braun finally trips the knight and obviously ready to end things. He's kind of standing over the guy.
He pulls it. He's like right in front of the little area where you can walk straight out of the moon door.
Yeah.
And he's got him right in front of that shit, and he's facing it, and he's got him on his knees, and he's like holding his sword out away from him. And then he's got his sword in his hand, and then he looks at everybody, and he's like, here's your champion, and here's my sword going down his throat.
Yeah. And so he stabs him and he just tosses him out the moon door.
And his blood goes fucking everywhere and chucks his limp ass out the door and says, what's up?
Yeah. So then Robin goes, is it over?
No, they're still fighting.
Yeah. So then Lady Aaron says that Braun doesn't fight with honor, and Braun says, yeah, no, I don't. But he did.
Yeah, that was such a beautiful part.
Yeah.
No. He did.
Yeah.
Where did that get him?
Yeah. So then Mord releases Tyrion, and Robin's like, so the little man flies now, and Tyrion says, no, this little man's going home.
No, not today.
Piece of shit.
Punk bitch.
Yeah, and he walks over and says, I think you have something of mine. He gets his purse.
What's the guy's name with the weird beard?
I always
like
forget
braided
his name.
pork chop sideburns.
He's the guy from Winterfell.
All right, well, old guy from Winterfell with braided pork chop sideburns.
I always forget his name.
Had his bag of gold, so he chucks it back to Tyrion.
Who chucks it to Mord.
And throws it to Mord, and he's like, there you go, homie.
Yeah, and that's when Tyrion and Braun walk out the door.
Like a couple of peons. That was so fucking sick.
Absolutely.
Love Braun. Love that duo. One of the best duos in the entire series.
Absolutely.
The shit.
Yeah. So we cut to Sansa. She's sewing with the septa.
Septa. She's sewing with the septa.
The septa. Says that she's wearing her hair like a real Southern lady now, and Sansa says, well, why shouldn't I? Because I'm gonna be a Southern lady. We're in the South.
Sansa's being a bitch.
Yeah, she is. Her septa says that it's good to remember where you came from, and that it's possible that Catelyn would not like that hairstyle. And Sansa was like, well, my mother's not from the North either. So Sansa says that she says, do you have hair? And the septa's like, yes, would you like to see it? And Sansa says no. And then Sansa says, are you from the North or South? And as the septa starts answering,
I'm from a small town.
And then Sansa goes, oh wait, I realize I don't care.
Oh, like a serious bitch.
So then that's when the septa's like, oh wow, you're being rude.
That's being rude.
Yeah.
That's incredibly rude.
It's incredibly rude. So that's when Prince Joffrey enters. He says, I fear I have behaved monstrously.
Yeah, acting the part.
Yeah. He gives her a necklace that's similar to one that Cersei wears. And he says that Sansa will be queen one day, and it's only fitting that she looks the part.
And I'm never, ever going to be mean to you ever again.
Yeah. I'll never be cruel to you again. I'll never disrespect you again. You're my lady now from this day until my last day.
And the septa is sitting there like,
gross.
Giving this like, what the fuck kind of look, because she's watching a couple of like 14-year-olds.
Yeah.
And listening to this bullshit.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's very much a 14-year-old love scene. Like, that kiss is bad.
Oh, he seems like he really doesn't want to do it. When he's like, well, okay, we've had this moment. I need to give her like a little kiss now. But as soon as they like connect, he's like,
It's really interesting because, you know, we've been watching Stranger Things and we keep talking about how like those kids are really good actors. And like, obviously the Game of Thrones, like, you're not in Game of Thrones and be a bad actor. But like, you know, Joffrey gets a lot of shit because everyone hates that character.
A twerp.
But the kid that plays him,
great.
Like that moment where it's like you do kind of fall a little when he's like, I'll never disrespect. If you didn't know what Joffrey ends up being,
well,
on first rewatch, you're like, well, maybe he is changing. But then when you see him change during the kiss, it's such a good moment of acting. Like,
yeah,
what that kid does.
I've always hated his face, even if he was a likable character. But they would have casted a different kid because he has a shit face. Yeah, he has
not
a hateable.
Not that he's a shitty face.
No.
He has a I hate you face.
Yeah, he has a hateable face.
Yeah, just like what's his face? Ollie.
And you put him in a hateable role, and it's like, this is really clicking.
Yeah, like if you put Haley Joel Osment when he was little in that role, no one would hate him because he's too cute. You can't hate that kid.
Adorable.
So it's like, you know, yeah, it's like Joffrey just has that face that you can kind of hate a little bit.
For sure. You want to punch it. Just got one of those faces you want to punch.
Yeah. So we cut to Theon. He's riding up. Rosalind is riding off on a turnip cart.
Yeah.
And she says she's going to King's Landing because there's basically nothing for her in Winterfell anymore.
And she's got a plan, too, to go and stack bread. She's like, sounds like there's going to be a war. Everybody's going to dip, and they're definitely going to try to bury their beaks before they leave because they might not come home.
Exactly.
So I am going to make
some money.
Serious cheese.
And Theon tries to, like, school her, and he's like, there's thousands of girls like you in the capital. And she's like, good, I'll have some friends.
Cool.
And so he says, she says, there's nothing left for me here. And Theon is kind of trying to convince her to stay.
I mean, absolutely. That's why he said that. It's like, oh, there's a bunch of girls like they're just like you.
So finally, she's like, sorry, I'm leaving. See you later. And as she's riding off in the cart, he says, show it to me one more time. And she's like, show you what? And he flips a coin at her, and she catches it, and she
shows the snatch.
And then she laughs and puts her dress back down, and
puts
he
the
says,
business away.
Yeah, and he goes, I'm really gonna miss you. And it's very funny that I guess because you have so many layers on, but even in the North, she still doesn't wear underwear.
Yeah, I mean, well, she needs to be ready to work like at any moment.
Well, you can't make crotchless panties.
Yeah, you just scissors. Yeah, I would assume that's just how they roll. Like a woman of her.
I gotta air that thing out.
Career woman, exactly. Yeah. You need to keep it aired out, and you need to be ready to get shit going.
Exactly.
Here's the money. Here's the sex.
So yeah,
later.
So we cut back to King's Landing. Ned enters a room where Sansa and Arya are. He says, "You're going back to Winterfell." Neither are happy at this point. Sansa is like, "Joffrey, I'm gonna marry him and have babies," and Arya's like, "Gross."
Yeah. Gross.
Yeah. Arya's like, I, on the other hand, want to stay because I'm getting badass.
Yeah, I'm starting to get badass.
Yeah. So again, Sansa says she's meant to be Joffrey's wife and that she doesn't want to go. And Ned's like, I'll find you another man to make you.
A man that's strong and kind.
And I don't want another one. And then she says, I want to marry Joffrey and give him sons with beautiful blonde hair. And when she says that,
Ned kind of takes him back for a second. He's like, wait, that is weird that he's the only one.
Well, I'm assuming that's when the seed is strong, that meaning actually clicked to him. Like what that meant to him.
Uh-huh.
So he says, go pack. I'm not arguing with you anymore. And he goes back and starts looking at that old boring book.
Because he's like, yeah, that's true. You would be having, or you're talking about having a bunch of blonde Baratheons.
Yeah.
So
that's
weird.
when he goes to the Baratheon page and he starts reading and he reads, and I wrote down every time he said it, the lineage is black of hair, black of hair, black of hair, black of hair, black of hair.
It's like 6 or 7.
Golden hair.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's clear that genetically the Baratheon line has dark hair.
For sure.
And Joffrey ended up blonde. So
yeah, serious blonde.
Yeah. So Ned's like, and you think you're gonna have blonde children?
Yeah.
And she even says, she says that there'll be Lannisters or that there'll be little lions, and Arya's like, they're not. He's not a lion, you dumbass.
Exactly.
He's a Baratheon.
Exactly. It's
so
like
everyone thinks of him as a Lannister.
Exactly.
And that's Ned's just like again, that brain, that frozen brain is finally being like, I got it. Yeah. So we cut to the Dothraki camp. They're having their feast, their party for.
They're turning up because the baby they found out officially it's going to be a boy, so they don't have to like throw it away.
I don't think
or eat it.
Away. Well, I think it's implied that. They know it's a boy.
I thought the witch doctor, while she was like.
Well, they say it's a boy, but okay, even in 2018, you can say it's a boy, and then it's like, oh, that's a girl.
Yeah, but we don't have Game of Thrones magic in 2018. That woman was like,
yeah,
there was like a witch doctor there, like humming and shit.
Yeah. Okay. So according to their beliefs, they believe that it's a boy.
Cool. I'm
not going to say confirm because again, you can't 100% confirm.
Oh, I guess honestly, they're all partying because she ate the whole heart.
They're partying because there's a stallion that's going to be the call of all calls. They're partying for the baby.
There's a stallion.
His name's Rocky. So everyone's having a good time. That's when we see Emilia Clarke's beautiful, beautiful smile. She's like full.
Very pretty.
Very pretty smile.
Prettier with dark hair, though. We were just talking about that.
Yeah.
Is she naturally dark-haired?
Oh, yeah.
So sexy.
Yeah, she looks so much like an Olsen with the blonde hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, she's so hot with her natural hair. Viserys, everyone's having a good time, and then Viserys enters, and I don't think he's drunk, but he seems drunk.
He's drunk.
He's drunk. Oh, yeah. Because I didn't know if he was drunk or if he's just crazed.
Well, that's why he's being so bold.
Well, I thought that he's like snapped. His brain has broken.
No, he hasn't snapped. It's clear that he like dipped. He's been drinking and thinking this over. He's like, all right, what can I do? What can I do? Sword to the belly. They're going to give me what I need, and I'm going to get out of here.
Yeah, so he walks in. He starts asking where Dany is, even though clearly she's like
he's right there.
10 feet from him.
Another reason he's like, reason he thinking he's drunk.
Yeah, Khal Drogo, he sees Viserys, and he's just eyeballing him. He's like, I know something's up. Like,
yeah, you know something's
going on here.
Going
down. And that's when Jorah grabs Viserys and he's like trying to get him to be like, calm down,
like, hey, man,
or like
chill
leave.
Chill
and
out.
Viserys says, get your hands off me. No one touches the dragon.
Don't touch the dragon, baby.
Don't touch the dragon. That's when Viserys sees Khal Drogo and says, I'm here for your feast. And the Khal says, your place is back there. And points like outside of
Yeah, this like busted ass seat by the door where you get free drinks.
Yeah, pretty much. And Viserys says that's no place for a king, and Khal, in the common tongue, not in Dothrakian, he says, you are no king, which is pretty bold. It also means that he's learning the common tongue.
Yeah.
So that's pretty awesome. And Viserys then draws a sword, and that's when everything stops. Music, people, no one says, and that's Dany says, that's when she finally speaks up. And that's when he's like, oh, there you are. There's my sister. He says, they can't kill me because they can't shed blood in their sacred city, but I can. And that's when he puts the sword directly towards Dany's stomach. And he says, I want the crown I came for. And he's like, look, I bargained for you. I bargained for what I came for. He bought you. He hasn't given me my end of the deal. I want it. I'm taking you back.
Right there.
Yeah. And he's like, so...
give me my shit or I'm taking Sissy back.
So that's when Khal Drogo says something. Viserys asks Dany what he says, and she says, yes, you shall have a golden crown that men shall tremble to behold. And Varys says, well, that's all I wanted.
That's all I was looking for.
What was promised?
This is
that
perfect.
Sounds great. Thanks. So that's when Khal Drogo walks over and he puts his hand on Dany's stomach and then turns... like kind of pushes her back a little bit, and then he says something, and that's
tells
when his guys
grab his ass, and the one who breaks his arm.
Yeah. And so that's when he breaks his arm. Viserys is obviously like screaming like, Dany, help me, like what is going on, you must release me. Kyle takes off a golden belt and he throws it in a pot and starts melting it.
Dumps the soup out.
Dumps the soup, starts melting the gold in the pot. That's when Viserys knows what's happening.
It's like,
obviously. Jorah walks over to Dany, tells her to look away. She says no. She's got some ball.
She doesn't give a fuck at this point.
At this point, she knows her brother needs to die.
Well, and she knows that everything that she remembers is complete bullshit at this point. It's like, oh, no, I'm the one that can't fucking be burned. And I'm the one that everybody likes here. It's like, I'm the one, like, that's had to, like, take this dude's giant horse dick night after night. It's like, you haven't done anything.
Yeah, so she says, or Viserys says, you can't, Dany, please tell them no. And that's when Khal Drogo says, here's a crown for a king. And he pours the gold on top of Viserys' head, who then falls to the floor dead with a gold-plated helmet head. Yeah. And Dany says, he was no dragon. Fire can't kill a dragon.
True that.
Episode ends.
End scene. On his punk ass.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God his character's gone. He's so fucking annoying.
It's the worst.
I mean, he's not in it like a whole lot, but anytime it is, it's like, oh, no one cares about you.
Yeah.
You bring nothing to the table. Less than nothing.
Yeah, it really doesn't bring a
Whenever
whole lot
you know
to the
you
table.
have those characters, it's just like, just get the fuck out of here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Like those bald guys or that bald dude that steals the dragons when they're like babies. It's like, oh God, just kill yourself.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Ugh. Yeah. You're just a waste of time.
I just really hate those characters.
Hell yeah.
Well, in the book that scene is, or that I can't remember what it's called now, but where they go, Karth. When they go to Karth, that's a very interesting, very like way more in depth when she goes to the House of the Undying.
I mean, I'm not saying I don't like the episodes.
I'm saying like in the book it's a big thing because there's a lot of prophecy. There's a lot of information there that people put into their theories. So that's why Karth is such a big deal to like book readers. But the show, it's like, this is boring. Get me out of here.
I mean, it's not so boring. I mean, it's just watching it over again. It's like, oh wait a minute. Those guys hold no importance to this fucking story. So let's run this.
Exactly. So that makes sense. When you have those characters, it's just like blah blah. Let's be gone.
All right. Well, let's get the hell off of here because we're gonna record another one later on. We're gonna knock 2 out today.
That's what she said.
That is what she said.
Yeah. We're like Rosalind knocking them out. Getting all that gold.
Well, that was a good episode. I hope the next one's good too.
I'm sure. I mean, they only get better from here.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I mean, there are like probably a couple like boring-ish ones in there, but most episodes are pretty damn good.
Yeah. I mean, like, we're getting closer and closer to Ned's.
And we're getting closer to
impending doom.
The next season, which brings on a lot of really dope characters.
Absolutely. So.
Which I'm very excited about. Yeah. All right. Listen to Murd Up. That's our other podcast. Listen to Murd Up.
Yeah.
We don't have any sponsors, so we just that's our only plug on this show.
Yeah, pretty much. So thanks for all who have listened and subscribed and
tell people if you don't mind it, please let people know because like now is a good time or like right after Christmas, you have about 4 months ish. So like now's a good time to binge it if you want to watch the whole series over again.
Yeah.
Like we're doing.
I mean, again, this is us preparing for this last season and just being able to like have one last thing before the show's over.
These are our love letters.
Yeah. I mean, it's like an epic story. It's definitely a show that like, I mean, it hasn't gone off the rails at all.
Well, no. And it's like one of those shows when you're in it and you're in the middle of the season, you're on like the 4th and the 5th and the 6th episode. It's like, all you're talking about, all you're thinking about.
Well, I mean, like Game of Thrones obviously means something to me because I'm willing to physically ink it onto my body. But it's like
and read the books
and be obsessed
task.
over it. And I used to like research and like get on Reddit and try to figure out the theories and like I've actively tried to figure out the end of it and stuff like that. And I'm one of those people that's like, George R. R. Martin, please just finish these books. Like, I'm one of those people that, like, if I died before the end of the series, I'm pretty sure I would come back and haunt somebody just to know the end of the series.
I'm not even a book fan, and I think it's bullshit that the book fans are not getting what they deserve before us show fans. I mean, obviously, the show can't stop. It's not like a book. Like, you have to keep going.
Keep going.
But
And the actors are only going to get older.
Yeah,
so you
exactly.
Have to. You
but
have to do it now.
It's bullshit that we're getting what we want, and the book readers, the original fucking dorks that read this shit.
Yeah,
before you
94.
Exactly. They were reading it because they like these kind of stories, but then the whole world realized what an amazing story it is.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter like what time period it's set in or what it's this or that. It's just you just can't.
It's a good story.
You can't not be interested in it.
Yeah.
So
and then that's kind of again what
it's shitty that they don't get their ending.
Yeah. So like to me, this is the way I can be satisfied with not having the books to satisfy. You know, I mean, I like the show. Obviously, I don't have a single problem with the diversions that they've made or the changes that they've made for the show because it's better for the show.
And you can appreciate that the show is its own entity.
Yeah, but like when the books, if we finally get the last 2 books, then I'm going to read them and not have anyone to rejoice with because by that point, everyone's going to know the ending of the show. So this to me is my way as a book fan of being as involved and as get into all the stupid little fan theories and like all the ridiculousness without without having to like lose the love of it and then have that moment with everyone else who's a Game of Thrones fan.
Well, it'll be fun. I hope if we get more listeners on here, we can be more interactive with them online. Yeah. Because once we get closer into the later seasons where there's things that are still
questionable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We'll start chit-chatting with people, and that'll be super fun. So please let if you enjoy this and you know that people like podcast and GOT, please let them know about the show. Yeah,
and if you want to talk like fan theory or anything, let me
just hit us up on the gram or on Reddit or something. We'll holler at you.
Yeah.
For show.
So, and also our email address, it's thronethugs@gmail.com.
Thronethugs@gmail.
Email.
Easy peasy.
Yeah, so that's it.
All right. Well, we're going to record another one here in a couple hours, but thanks for listening, and we'll see you at the next one.
Yeah, bye.
Peace.